Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the November 7th, 2028 elections. We're going to break down the objective, scheduled facts of the race, and then dive into something pretty wild, a dramatic state-by-state AI prediction of the presidential matchup. Let's look at exactly what the political landscape holds and what artificial intelligence actually thinks will happen when Americans head to the polls.
Here is our roadmap. We'll start with the 2028 election landscape, cover the federal and state ballots, pivot over to that AI presidential matchup, track the shifting battlegrounds, and finally, look at the final electoral map.
Section 1. The 2028 election landscape. Before we talk about any predictions, we really have to ground ourselves in the constitutional baseline reality. And that reality centers around the number 22. It's absolutely crucial here, representing the 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 22nd Amendment imposes strict term limits on the presidency, meaning incumbent President Donald Trump is constitutionally ineligible for a third term. Because of this limitation, 2028 is absolutely guaranteed to feature a brand new Republican nominee at the top of the ticket for the first time since 2012. It fundamentally resets the entire political board.
Section 2. Federal and state ballots. The presidency naturally takes up most of the oxygen, but the sheer scale of the down-ballot races voters will decide in 2028 is massive.
Think about this. Every single one of the 435 voting seats in the House of Representatives is up for grabs. Over in the upper chamber, 34 Senate seats will be contested. And this brilliantly illustrates the high stakes for both parties, because 4 of those are Democratic-held seats in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. Those are all states won by Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Add to that 11 regular state gubernatorial elections, and you can see how the balance of power across the entire federal and state government is completely in play.
And the down-ballot sweep is just as critical. We're looking at lieutenant governor races in 9 states, attorney general races in 10, and secretary of state elections in 7. Locally, massive mayoral elections will take place in cities like Baltimore, Phoenix, and San Jose. What's really interesting is that incumbents in Austin, Fresno, and San Diego are term limited out of running, which guarantees completely new leadership in those major metropolitan areas.
Section 3. The AI presidential matchup. Having established the factual landscape, let's transition to a fascinating AI-generated forecast that attempts to predict exactly how election night will unfold.
According to the AI model's assessment of early market odds and polling trends cited in our source material, the 2028 matchup will pit Republican J.D. Vance against Democrat Gavin Newsom. The AI points to Vance as the clear leader in GOP primary polling right now, while projecting Newsom to eventually secure the Democratic nomination. So keep in mind, our AI simulation treats this specific matchup as its baseline for the entire election night map.
The author of our source material notes that when they asked ChatGPT to simulate election night, its answer was, quote, jaw-dropping. It suggests massive shifts in the American political landscape. Let's see how this builds.
Section 4. Shifting the battleground states. Let's break down how this AI actually predicts the swing states will vote on live election night.
The AI structures its prediction chronologically, tracking the race from the East Coast all the way to Alaska. We start at 7 p.m. with the early battlegrounds, move into a massive 8 p.m. block that includes 171 electoral votes, hit the crucial 9 p.m. closures in the Midwest and Sunbelt, and finally wrap up in the early morning hours.
Right out of the gate, at 7 p.m., the AI projects some incredibly tight races that signal a shifting electorate. In Georgia, it projects J.D. Vance to win by 4%, which actually doubles the Republican margin from 2024. But look at Virginia, a state Democrats have flipped blue over the last 2 decades. The AI forecasts Gavin Newsom holding it by a surprisingly narrow 3%, pushing it firmly into the lean Democrat column. As the night progresses into the 8 and 9 p.m. hours, ChatGPT projects a dramatic tightening in traditionally safe Democratic strongholds. Take New Jersey, which was won by Biden by 16 points in 2020. The AI forecasts that tightening all the way down to a 3.4% margin for Newsom. It expects Illinois to stagnate at a roughly 10.9% margin and New York to be won by just 12.4%. The AI calculates that these states are actively shifting out of the solid column and into likely or even lean categories.
Now, here is where the simulation gets truly aggressive, forecasting 2 shocking flips that totally defy recent history. First,
It predicts J.D. Vance will win New Hampshire by 0.9%. That would be the first time the GOP has won the Granite State since George W. Bush back in 2000. Second, it predicts Vance will take Minnesota by 1.2%, which would make him the first Republican to carry that state since Richard Nixon in 1972.
Furthermore, the model expects the Republican ticket to hold the line firmly across key battlegrounds. The AI projects Vance maintaining lean margins in the entire Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, while holding Sunbelt states like Nevada and Arizona. And down south, the AI expects absolute dominance, projecting a 13-point victory in Texas and a 12-point victory in Florida, really cementing those states as deep red fortresses.
Section 5. The final electoral map. When all these state-by-state predictions are tallied up at the end of the night, the algorithm presents a pretty staggering final calculation. ChatGPT's ultimate conclusion projects J.D. Vance winning the presidency decisively, securing 326 electoral votes to Gavin Newsom's 212. It's a map that assumes Republican momentum not only holds from previous cycles, but actively breaches long-standing Democratic walls in places like Minnesota and New Hampshire.
To put this AI simulation into historical context for you, if this forecast were to actually become reality, it would mark the absolute worst electoral performance for a Democratic presidential nominee in 40 years. We're talking dating all the way back to Michael Dukakis in 1988. It represents a fundamental realignment of the map, at least according to this specific algorithm's reading of the current data.
The scheduled facts of 2028, the dates, the massive down-ballot races, those constitutional limits, we know those are set in stone. But this dramatic AI prediction leaves us with something much deeper to ponder. Can artificial intelligence models truly grasp complex human nuances, sudden events, and the ultimately unpredictable nature of American voting behavior? It's a fascinating look at how machines interpret our political future, and it certainly leaves us with plenty to watch for as we approach 2028.